All right. Welcome in, Bulls fans, to another edition of, I guess, a Bulls live stream, even after that terrible, terrible game. But we'll get into all of it. Bulls lose to the Mavs, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't particularly close either for most of the game, basically since the end of the first quarter. Again, we'll get into more specifics. So Bulls dropped the game to the Mavericks in Dallas, 119 to 99. Um, or yeah, 119 to 99.
Yep,
It's one game. The Mavericks are good in
very
theory,
good.
at least. Um, we are 3-5. I don't know. I didn't expect us to be better. I guess at this point in the season yet. I knew we were going to be bad. 3-5 feels on par, on pace. I guess. It
hmm
just it's just draining, just exhausting. It's tough. It just does not feel fun. I just want some fun. I was watching the Blackhawks as well. Not fun. They just lose games and it's boring because you just get smoked. So that's just kind of the theme, I think, in the city of Chicago right now for our sports. Apply to the Bears too, if you really want.
Yeah.
Justin, how's it going, man? Did you enjoy the game?
I did not. Although the first quarter was slightly entertaining. The first quarter, the Bulls were down at one point by 13 points, and then they came back to within three at the end of that first quarter. So, I mean, it's pretty exciting to see spurts like that. What I was really hoping for, and I think what everyone was hoping for, was Io DeSumo to kind of carry over what he did that first game without Lavine. And we were really hoping to see him kind of come through. Unfortunately, Io in that first quarter, 0 for 7 from three. Yikes. 0 for 7 from three, 0 for 8 from the field total. And that is just something that you can't see in a point guard that you are going to be, in theory, replacing for Zach Lavine. So that wasn't what was in the game plan. I don't think I definitely fully wholeheartedly believe that Billy Donovan drew this up in hopes and thoughts that Io was going to be kind of carrying over from what he did that previous game, which he really lit it up. So unfortunately, shooting wasn't there. Defense wasn't there. So we're just gonna dive right in and just kind of get through a couple key points and just kind of get through it all. But first and foremost, everyone, please like and subscribe the Chicago Bulls channel. We have just another year Chicago Bulls. We want to talk about as many Bulls games as we can this year and just kind of give you all I guess, an unbiased opinion as to what this team is going to become this year. And hopefully we can turn it around and just keep it going. So, first things first, let's kind of get into the offense or lack thereof, I should say. So, Tony, with what you saw tonight, what are some things that need to be improved on? Obviously, Lavine is out of the lineup. He's probably going to be back next game. Everything kind of points to that. So, from what you saw today, what do you think went wrong, and what are some things that can be improved on?
I think you hit the nail on the head with Io. I know it's one guy, but that is a guy we need to start.
That's your starting
We
shooting guard. You
Yeah,
know,
we need to have him start truly stepping up, and he totally has, and he is a great player. But he can't be having these nights where I know you were saying what was it, over 8 like the first quarter, first half. I think he was 0 for 9, I believe, until when he finally hit his first shot,
yep,
which I think ended up being back to back threes. But too
correct.
little. Talk
That
about
was
too
the
little,
only
too late.
points, only
Yeah,
points of the game right there. So 6 points total for Io.
yeah. He was two for 10 from three, 2 for 13 overall from the field. So here's what stood out to me. I was kind of looking at the game flow. I mean, if you watched the game, you felt it, you saw it. Uh, so I believe it was about a minute 52. Yeah, minute 54 left in the first quarter. The Bulls just went cold, and honestly, it wasn't that long. I think it was like three game time. Dallas
Yeah,
went on a run, and that, and if you just look at the game charts, the scoring, charts. We've been looking at a lot of charts the last couple of days, but it was never close after that. It never dipped back close. Nothing. That was kind of the game right there. And I know they had another little drought. What was it? It was basically started right before halftime, about 4 seconds left. That was at the last Bulls points until looks like about 9 minutes left in the third quarter, and at that point, Dallas had scored another, I think, like 12. Nice little 10-12-0 run. You just can't have that. I know
That's
that's not
yucky.
offense, or sorry, I know that's a defensive review, but from an offensive standpoint, you can't be just scoring zero on these runs. It's a game of runs.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. You have to score. That's it. I don't
That's it.
know.
No, that's it.
It's pretty simple.
It's really simple on the offensive review tonight. The Bulls kept it very simple for us. Unfortunately, I wish we could kind of go in depth and talk about these just amazing numbers that we had all the way around. And kind of going into the offense review. I mean, Tony, I'm not going to really dovetail too much off of what you said because exactly there wasn't any scoring, especially from our players that we needed to score. And it was just a lot of, as Bob and Weave said, it was a lot of running, and the Bulls are buns. Game of runs. There you go. That's what he said. So there was a lot of running. There was like a track meet out there, as they would say. However, I would like to give the following Offensive Player of the Game award to Matas Bazulis. So, he really came out. He played a full 23 minutes tonight, which is what we've been wanting. We've been wanting to see that, and that's really exciting. So he played a full 23 minutes tonight, 4 from 9 from the field, 3 for 4 from three-point land, a couple boards, and then actually more than a couple boards, 9 rebounds, and then 13 points. So that was really, really good to see. And I think this was the game for Matas to really show Billy Donovan that he is ready to play big boy minutes. He's really ready to get involved in this offensive game plan. Now, the question is Billy Donovan going to be able to incorporate him properly moving forward this year? Because what really happened tonight, it looked like it was just Billy Donovan's just throwing whoever in there, just trying to see, hey, is this guy going to turn up? Is this guy going to help us out and contribute? Whereas you need to figure these things out in practice. Okay. You need to figure these things out during the week when you have off days. You can't just throw, they say you can't throw it at the wall and hope it sticks. You got to really know what you have prior to going out in the game. Otherwise, you just look discombobulated and super disorganized. So, Tony, my question to you is, do you think that this was a big, stepping stone for Matas to really prove himself and get more minutes throughout the year?
I do. And before I kind of dive into him specifically, you made a good point about Billy Donovan just throwing guys in. I believe 10 players had played for the Bulls by the second quarter. Specifically, Julian Phillips was the 10th player to enter the game at that
No
point.
good.
So it was definitely, I think the writing was on the wall real quick. Again, that big run. It was just, okay, the starters aren't getting it done. Let's try anything. And that's where Matas had his opportunity. He was the second leading scorer with 13. Not exactly anything to write home about when you're talking about the total team.
No.
But for him, again, career high, first time in double digits. That's definitely where you start to build the trust of the coach, because he didn't throw him out there. He didn't have one of those. Have a night like I would assume where you go 0 for 9 to start. I mean, he probably wouldn't see the floor the next 5 games if he went 0 for 9 tonight. So these are those games where and you hear NBA players talk about on podcasts, in interviews all the time. These are the games where you build trust as a bench guy. You give it your all. You're getting paid to go out there. You might as well, give it your all. And you prove that you can run the offense. You prove that you can play without turning the ball over too much. You prove that you can hit some shots. And that translates to more minutes in crunch time, or even if just a competitive game earlier on. And then it's just stepping stones from there, like you said. So yes, I do think this was probably the big first step, the big first stone for Matas, and it's great to see. That's what we've been hoping for. So we finally got it.
Exactly. I agree with that. I think that this is like we both said, this is going to be big for him, and then hopefully he can really develop and get some good minutes and really show us that he has the capability to be in that starting lineup. Because I think a really big potential job for him is going to be replacing Patrick Williams in our starting lineup. I know that is like a franchise suicide move, because you just gave Patrick Williams this extension in the offseason. So he is getting that $90 million, but my goodness, this guy is not producing. It's so sad. It's really sad to watch. I mean, tonight, 23 minutes, 2 for 4 from three, 6 boards, 8 points. So you're telling me right now that our starting power forward only got 2 points in the paint today? Like, what is happening? Like, what are you doing? Like, I just don't understand the mindset behind giving him this big contract and really committing to him, because I personally, like, there was questions of him coming out of Florida State at 19 years old as a number 4 overall pick, and it's like, where do you go from here with him? So I guess kind of passing the torch to you on this question, it's like, where does Patrick Williams fit in this equation, and then how much longer is this guy's leash going to be before we finally say it's not working, he's not producing? So what's next for Patrick Williams and the Bulls?
That's a great question, and I also I don't know at this point, because you're absolutely right. Where it's one thing when it's your rookie year, it's one thing when another thing when it's your second year, third year, whatever. Once those years start to build up, you get your extension, you get
Hmm.
to the point where you're expected to produce. And I will say Kobe White's a little bit of actually one of the exceptions to the rules, where I think it was what, five years in or something, was finally last year he finally started absolutely going
Yeah,
off. Um, I think the plan should be. I'm not saying I think this is what Billy Donovan's going to do. I think the plan should be you kind of start giving Matas those more important minutes, especially if he's going to keep producing. And either Patrick Williams fights for his damn job and
yeah,
he shows I should be the guy, or honestly, the whole thing coming out of Florida State was he was the sixth man. That was the big that you're drafting a sixth man, fourth overall. Yeah, shocker, didn't work out. But maybe he does play better coming off the bench. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I have nothing to back that up. But something's got to change. I don't know what it is. Maybe we need a better leader on this team. We got to trade for someone who's just going to kick his ass in practice. I don't know, and I think that's the worst spot you could be in. Because if you know, and if he sucks, for sure, bench him, cut him, trade him, whatever it may be. If he's great, obviously you're going to play him. Not knowing is by far the worst possible outcome, and I think that's where we are right now.
yeah. Hey,
Oh,
sorry, I
look at
had
that
some
little
technical
rotate,
difficulties
little
there.
dance.
Yeah, there you go. I'm
Yeah,
back. Sorry about that. I'm sure whatever you had relayed was awesome information.
it was.
To add to that, I wanted to give you a couple number 4 overall picks that have been drafted in the last few years. Also, just a couple miscellaneous ones. So let's go. Number 4 overall pick in 2018 is Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Memphis Grizzlies. Straight dog.
Triple
Okay.
J.
Elite player. Number 4 pick in the 2021 draft, Scotty Barnes. Elite scorer. We go to the 2014 NFL draft, NBA draft. Sorry, Aaron Gordon, dog. 2015, Kristaps Porzingis, dog. So it's like, where's that, where's that mentality, knowing that you're drafted 4th overall and looking at these players who have been drafted 4th overall as well. It's like, where's that mentality that I need to like step it up and get it going, So who knows what he's doing in his off time and his work. And we just got to kind of figure it out and just see, what is next for him. And I'm not giving up hope, but I'm also not very excited about it. Okay.
We got
In
a
that case,
great comment here that we should definitely. I know we kind of talked about Io. I loosely mentioned Kobe, but
mhm.
Io, Kobe, and Giddy combining for a -78, little plus minus action.
Oh, geez.
Unacceptable is
Oh, geez.
the perfect description.
That's
Um,
gonna be related to this comment right here. Bulls are buns.
Bulls are
Bulls
buns.
are buns. So I appreciate that, Bob and Weave. That's a great that is a great analysis there. Love
Yeah,
the stats.
specifically. So the worst plus
And
minus was Io DeSumo at -31, which is unbelievable, actually.
that is
Um,
great.
and then yeah, followed closely by Kobe White at -25. So I
Yeah.
mean that's that, and
Oh, geez.
it's one game, blowouts happen. That's the NBA. Whatever. You're down Lavine. You're down. Kind of shuffling the lineup a little bit, but that can't continue. And if it does, that's those are unplayable numbers if for whatever reason that continues. I know people are a little, they don't put a ton of stock into plus minus because you're not the only guy on the court, and it's
Uh-huh.
weird situations when you're playing, but at the same time, um, that's just it's just so
Yeah,
bad. It's so bad.
it
Uh,
is tough, and we're here. We're just kind of going through the motions all at once, and that's okay. Not a lot of positivity and hope in the Chicago sports world right now, especially considering your Blackhawks did not do so well tonight, which I'm sure you'll be discussing at some point on your own. But that's okay. This is why we're here. This is why we're Chicago fans of any sports organization, because we love the heartbreak. We love the toxicity, and that's why we're here. I did have one pressing question, which again is probably a little too soon in the year to discuss, but also it might not be. This might be a really good time to discuss this. So we obviously know what this team is doing without Zach Lavine, and last game looked great. This game, not so much. So the question really has to be asked here: is Zach Lavine going to be a guy that we are going to fully commit to and keep in our organization, or is this somebody that we get rid of at the deadline because now his value is skyrocketed since last season? Or is it something that we decide we blow it all up, we get rid of everybody, we start from scratch? I mean, what are you thinking here, Tony? I personally have my own thoughts, but I'll let you take the reins first. So go right ahead.
we're gonna have to go on quite the little run here in the until up until the NBA trade deadline. Actually, I should say, usually right around All-Star break. We're gonna have
Yeah.
to go on quite the little run here to at least convince me that this team is capable of because if you just keep everyone around, then you go into next year, everyone's a year older. You go into the next year, everyone's a year older. Why is it going to get better without a dish? Why is staying exactly the same already bad? Why is everyone just going to get better next year? They're not. So
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't be the worst idea to trade Lavine if we're going to continue to just be a bad basketball team. And here's my thought process: if you can get a first or anything from you're not going to get anything out of those top couple lottery projected teams. But if you can get just in the lottery, just another chance. I mean, Cooper Flag. Man, I love Cooper Flag. I, it
Yeah,
might be
he's
time
insane.
because
Yeah, he's insane.
we've talked about it on here. I'm sure you've talked about it too, Justin. But the worst thing you can be, at least in the NBA, other sports is a little different. There's other moving pieces, but with the NBA, the rosters being so small, only 5 guys on the court. The worst place you can be in the NBA is a middling franchise. Just especially,
Yeah.
I mean, thank God for the play-in game. Otherwise, we would have missed the playoffs for the last however many years. But there's nothing worse than that because you're not bad enough to get a high draft pick, as we've seen with the Bulls, who are getting the seventh pick, whatever, which is just not worked, obviously.
Yeah, no.
Or you have superstars and you win championships, or you at least compete in the playoffs, whatever. Being this team that beats the Atlanta Hawks as the 9-10 matchup, and then you just get I don't even remember who played, the Raptors or something, and just getting bounced before you even make it into the big dance. Was it the
Yeah.
Raptors? I feel like it was the Raptors.
That was the Hawks, and then we
Um,
played the Raptors. It was the Raptors.
right, the Raptors, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the absolute worst place you can be. And right now, there is no. We're going to win a couple basketball games because we do have some talent. And that's
Yeah.
why, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to start moving that talent, which includes Lavine, and just hope to either be a bad team, get picks from a bad team, or, I don't know, we accidentally make the greatest trade of all time and stumble upon a superstar.
Yeah.
That's the true reality of where we're at,
Yeah.
and I hate it. And maybe I'm being dramatic, but I mean, I don't know. Look at every team that's been in the conference finals. They're not middling franchises that back their way into the the conference finals. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point you make about, look at these teams that are in the finals. These aren't teams that, were in any kind of position the Bulls were in. Those are teams that drafted well. I mean, look at Denver and look at Boston. These guys drafted absolutely just top tier dog players. So something's got to be asked internally with Chicago. It's like who's doing our scouting? You know, who's doing our scouting? And like you really could argue that the Bulls' best draft pick in the last, several years is like, yeah, we got Kobe White out of it, but like Io DeSumo in the late second round. I mean, that's yeah, he's good, but he's not a superstar. I mean, we have to really ask some deep internal questions about this organization. We as fans bullied the Chicago Bulls organization into firing Garpax. So we should start bullying them into firing their scout team. Because how would we get that trending on Twitter? Like we got to figure out some kind of hashtag to get that going. But yeah, I mean that's the commonality between all these teams that were in the finals is that there was perfectly drafted players in perfect situations. So and it goes back to Boston. I mean, look at Boston. These guys have flip-flop coaches like 4 times in the last 5 years. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. These guys are still winning and they find ways to win. It doesn't matter who's coaching them. It's the players. So that's really, really important. I feel like we're putting a lot of pressure on Billy Donovan at the moment, and that's just not the move. I think at some point you got to take a look and say, okay, it's the players. It's not the coaching. So kind of off of that tangent and going into my Lavine spiel, I think that the Bulls are in a really, really odd predicament right now. And it's obviously a little too soon to say, okay, let's get rid of Lavine. Let's do this. Let's do that. Because in my opinion, if you're going to get rid of Lavine, you got to get rid of Vooch and you got to get rid of I wouldn't say get rid of Kobe White, but you got to get rid of your core players at that point. So I don't see anything positive coming from that if Lavine is traded. But knowing the Bulls organization, and I'm not upset about this either, because if I was in their shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. I would most likely end up, keeping Lavine and just writing it out. Which again, that's most likely going to happen in my opinion. So I don't know. Again, it's 8 games in the season, so we're going to find out. And yeah, we're on to Minnesota next. Mm-hmm. Anthony Edwards. Oh my God.
Another example of great drafting. Yeah. It is so. Yeah, my last comment on the great drafting, but you brought up the point about those the championship teams and how they drafted. Luka Doncic was the 3rd overall pick. He was swapped with the Atlanta Hawks. Like it don't get me wrong. People knew he was going to be a good player. Obviously, went top of the draft. No one knew what he was going to be, but that's where the scouting comes in. Nikola Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. Did they know he was going to be what he is? Probably not. Again, especially once you get into the second round, you were throwing darts at the board, and I understand that. Right. But someone's got to be good at this. It can't be impossible. Teams are good. Teams continue to get good. Boston has been generally good my whole life. Like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, drafted by the Boston Celtics. Like they are Peyton Pritchard, drafted by the Boston Celtics. I know he's not Tatum, Jaylen Brown level, but he's a damn good contributor.
I feel like as like just bros, like I just like Peyton Pritchard, man. Hey, great basketball name.
Oh, yeah. Dude. He was awesome at Oregon. I loved him at Oregon. He was the man, just a fiery guy. He has heart, too. He has that Alex Caruso, like, hustle and heart. And that's what's missing in honestly, Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams doesn't have any hustle or heart, and it pisses me off.
There's no soul. There's no soul on this team. There's no drive. There's no thrive. There's no passion. And there was at the beginning of the year when Lonzo came back, I felt it. Like I really felt like there was like, a connection and there was this huge chemistry between everybody. But, Lonzo's hurt again. He's there. There's no timeable return and I think it's a wrist injury. And that's just beyond demoralizing. I mean, at what point do you just hang it up? Okay, at what point? Because he's a point guard, so and it's a little bit different. So there's a lot of longevity in that position, but man, just like it's so demoralizing, and it really kills the team. And it's not his fault; he's injured. Like it is what it is. But again, like there was that fire, there was that passion, but the fact that we're 8 games in the season and it's gone. I'm visibly ill. I'm visibly ill about it, you know?
Well, what happened when we had when this whole little core first started? It was when we got Lonzo, we got DeMar, that 3 months, whatever, before Lonzo got hurt, and it just kind of tanked this whole project. Really, it was so much passion, but it was also it was new, and I think there's something about that new core as opposed to just bringing one guy in, send another guy out. There is a whether it's resentment or whether it's just this leftover culture that's just not ready to win. Like football, bringing in a new coach with the new quarterback. You're keeping the same guy and bringing in a new guy. It's just these meshing. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. They're not clicking. Is what it's not doing what you want it to do. It's just too. Yeah, it's too. You want to just start fresh. You want to get everyone on the same page. Build it how you want to build it, not just band-aid. So yeah, more than just Lavine, more than trade just Lavine. I totally agree with you. If you're blowing it up, blow it up. Like that's
there you go.
Lavine is our most valuable asset.
We're not
going to get a lot for Vooch. We're not going to get a ton for Kobe. So you have to either ride it out, or you just get as much as you can from as many players as you can. And you just hope that turns into something. As many swings as you could take. So
that's it. That's it.
We can move on from that.
Beautiful. Yeah. There's not a whole lot to add to this game, honestly. Sadly, it just wasn't a great day for the Bulls, and then that's okay. Like we said, we got Minnesota next. I believe Lavine is going to be back in time for that game. I'm hoping so. If that's the case, we need him to go off. I mean, this is going to be it's a revenge game as always. Speaking of revenge games, Daniel Gafford was absolutely unstoppable tonight. I mean, this guy, I was watching the game and there was like three possessions in a row where the Mavericks had the ball and he just went down and got alley-oops like absolutely nothing. All of his points came from the paint today, 17 total points from the paint. I mean, he was dominating the Bulls, and that just goes to show Daniel Gafford, late drafted second round guy, and then just thrown away. I mean, just absolutely tossed in the trash. And he did really well in Washington, but it just goes to show that it doesn't matter where you're drafted. If you get put into a good system and you have that drive and you have that willingness to be a dog, you're going to succeed. Now he's the starting center on the Dallas Mavericks, and he played in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, Nick and I actually talked about it back. I think it was last year. He was on his little. What was it? It was like a record for most made field goals in a row or something. He was like running up against Wilt Chamberlain's record.
He was one game away. Yeah.
I was a Gafford guy from when he was drafted because I watched him in college. He was very fun. But that was a guy I was very sad to see leave when they ended up getting rid of him, just because like you're saying, he was mini Taj Gibson at the time. He's gotten better. He's better than Taj Gibson now, I'd say.
I agree. Yeah.
I think I could definitively say that. But that was a guy that it was sad because that was the hustle, that was the heart, that was the soul. But it was also just a damn fine player. He knew his role and he did it well. And that's what we're seeing with him on the Mavericks. We saw it last year on the Mavericks like that. Again, he played in the NBA Finals, like you said. Obviously, Luka and Kyrie got them there. I understand that, but you need those pieces. We've seen that across every NBA Finals with the Celtics last year. Like, you need the pieces to help. And we threw a bunch of pieces in the trash, Lauri Markkanen. Just shipped them all out. Bobby Portis, if you want to go back even farther.
Could you imagine could you imagine last year's team with Lauri Markkanen, bro?
Dude, I was such a big Lauri Markkanen guy. It made sense at the time. Like, I'm not going to try to do the full 2020, hindsight's 2020 thing,
right?
Whatever, because the situation, the organization, whatever, everything was failing and needed to break up. That's fine.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Yeah, no, we've been, and that's honestly what I'm worried about. That's my biggest worry with trading Lavine, is he's just going to be a stud somewhere, and it's going to be, how'd the Bulls get rid of this guy? And it's like, well,
yeah,
we have to keep these seasons, these starts of the seasons in mind, what the true context is. I don't know. A damn fine player. I agree, Bob and Weave.
Yeah, that's right. Bob and Weave, appreciate you
Yeah.
participating, and your comments were gold. Appreciate that.
Milliken
Everyone who
19, if you're still in here and you got anything else, I would love to hear from you. I remember you were commenting the last time I was in here. Much appreciated.
that's my boy.
Throw him up here again. It was a
Yeah,
tough loss. It was a tough loss,
very tough.
and we do have Minnesota next. Like that's
That is
the
true.
perfect way to sum it up. Honestly,
Yeah.
it could have been a 30-second video here. We could have basically just thrown that comment up and, and got
Yeah,
off.
that would have been so much fun. Just a 30-second live for all that. As always, everybody, please like and subscribe to the Just Another Year Chicago Bulls YouTube, the Twitter. We are deeply appreciative of everyone who participated and watched us tonight, and we will be back this week with some more Bulls content, and hopefully on tomorrow, Bulls come out and just absolutely destroy the Timberwolves. So we will see you guys then. As always, have a wonderful night. My name is Justin, and then Tony. Thanks so much, buddy, for helping me out tonight. And hopefully we'll have Nick here tomorrow as well. So everybody, peace out. Thanks for joining up.
See you, Red, baby.
See you, Red.